Martin Pistorius was a normal 12-year-old boy who then gradually couldn't move his body and eventually fell into a coma. By the time he was around 14, his senses came back, but not the ability to speak, and he couldn't move his body still. He was trapped in his own flesh, unable to make a sound nor move a muscle. When he turned 25, that's when people realized that the person operating inside the body was actually there, and can actually respond. Martin Pistorius slowly but surely went onto the road of recovery. All that's happened to him, he had front row seats to see it all. We're gonna cover more of his story here. If you haven't seen the nitty-gritty of the years that passed before he was considered awake, go check out our Part 1 video for details. Right here, we're gonna discuss his recovery, the problems that affected him while he was conscious but considered a vegetable, and other people who might be suffering from the same situation. As Martin Pistorius was recognized as conscious and awake, this wasn't the be-all, end-all situation. They still have to deal with the fact that Martin can't speak nor move. The road to recovery was still gonna be incredibly bumpy. Hopeful, but bumpy. Extreme rehabilitation was to be done since Martin was immobile for a decade. Fine motor skills and all. The things we do every day, this man took years to relearn all of them. Sitting up, bathing oneself, using your own hands, feeding yourself, all of that took a lot of elbow grease to actually relearn. Communication was another issue, but thank goodness computers exist at this point, yeah? Today, Martin Pistorius is practically bound to a wheelchair and uses a computer to talk, but his upper body is now his to command once again. The life he lived was honestly more normal than anyone else in his situation would assume to be. He got a degree, became a computer programmer, got married. If you ran into him in the grocers, you wouldn't think his own family didn't know he existed within himself for an entire decade. He's written a book titled Ghost Boy, and it's about his experiences. The book hit the big leagues, becoming a New York Times bestseller. The story got more reach when he did a podcast with NPR in Invisibilia. He's also doing talks, with one TED Talk in Kansas during 2015, and in 2018 where he made a video about his illness and recovery. Godspeed, Martin. It's a big surprise that Martin's not the only person who suffered from being considered comatose or vegetative, despite being completely conscious, but not able to move nor speak. Dr. Adrian Owen discusses what he calls the gray zone, and believes that about 15 to 20% of patients who are comatose or vegetative are actually similar to Martin, in which they're awake but trapped. These cases aren't as uncommon as you think. Take Kate, for example, who found herself as a vegetable, not Pickle Rick veggie, but in a persistent vegetative state. She contracted encephalomyelitis, another kind of inflammation of the brain and spine. It was seen that her brain reacted after being shown pictures of her family and loved ones. Thankfully, she recovered within 6 months. Another case is a bus driver named Kevin who suffered from a stroke and fell into a coma. The MRI showed brain activity that looked like a normal response after being presented a few sentences. A patient named Scott was comatose for 12 years and the family was cocksure that their boy was still in there. Dr. Adrian Owen then asked Scott to imagine playing tennis, and the premotor cortex, the part of the brain associated with playing sports, lit up like a normal person's. Scott even got to answer yes or no questions by imagining tennis whenever the answer was no. Dr. Owen really showed that the gray zone was there, and before that, doctors used to think that when you're a vegetable for months, you're practically done for. This thought process left thousands of patients unknowingly abandoned by their loved ones and led to some really nasty situations. The most prominent one being Venezuelan Carlos Cabello, who was unconscious for 10 years and woke up during his autopsy. Holy moly, man, that's some nasty stuff. Doctors and researchers right now are trying to better understand this gray zone of consciousness so that people like Martin Pistorius and thousands of others won't have to suffer any longer than they should. Hoping every day that this research gets results every time. So that was the rest of Martin Pistorius' life, his road to recovery, and the many others who were stuck in their bodies and were thankfully getting better. What do you guys think of this video? Leave your thoughts about it in our comment section if you may. For the guys who want to see more of our content, check out our channel. For everyone in here, humor us and like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell icon to stay notified of our videos fresh off the studio. As always guys, stay safe and see you in the next video.